Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I have another review for you. So I picked up the new Huda Beauty Faux Filter Corrector. As you know, I'm on a little bit of a concealer low buy at the moment. So I have 3 concealer spots to fill this year and this is spot number 2. I did say, I think in my low buy introduction video, that I wanted to experiment more with correctors and potentially add one into my collection. And this is quite new, so I thought I would give it a go. So I will be showing you how I apply this. I've got a couple of different concealer formulas as well that I wanted to apply over the top so that you can see how the product interacts and how it layers with different concealer formulas. And then I will also just be talking about general details, pricing, the colour range, and all that good stuff. So if you enjoy, then don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you're not already. And if you want to hear my thoughts on the new Huda Beauty Faux Filter Corrector, then just keep watching. So this is the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Corrector, not to be confused with the concealer. So it comes in 5 different shades and I have Pink Pomelo, which I believe is the lightest shade. I will say that from looking at swatches online and the promotional images, the shade range does seem to lean quite dark, which is really good if you have a medium to deep skin tone. I was worried that even this being the lighter shade wouldn't be light enough, and I do still wish it was a slightly brighter shade, which you might be able to see when we do the kind of demo and application. It's described as a lightweight formula, which I would agree with, and I think that's important when you are using a corrector, because typically you do want to use it underneath another concealer, because even though this is going to help cancel out any darkness, it's not necessarily going to be an exact colour match for your skin tone. It is going to be a bit more peach, a bit more salmon, a bit more orange leaning perhaps. So it is important that it's lightweight and that it layers well with other products as well. But the shade that I have, Pink Pomelo, it's described as a light pink and is suitable for fair to light skin tones. So again, even though the shades did look a tiny bit dark online, I thought this is probably going to be my best bet. You get 9ml of product and it retails for £26. I haven't tried the Faux Filter concealer, which I know is very, very popular. So in terms of comparing the formulas, I don't know if they are similar. You will have to let me know if you've tried that one. But from reading descriptions online, it does seem like the corrector is a bit more lightweight, but it's still described as sweat resistant and crease resistant, which I know is also the same for the concealer. So yeah, some of the claims are quite similar, but yeah, I do think that this is just a slightly lightweight formula. So I've already done my primer and I've put a tiny bit of the Glossier skin tint on. We know that the Glossier skin tint doesn't really cover anything, but I am trying to use it up in my project pan, so I thought I would just whack a bit of that on as well. And then I also have 2 different concealers that I'm going to try over the top. I am actually going out today, so I don't want to be too experimental with my makeup, but I thought it would be helpful to see the concealer paired under 2 slightly different concealer formulas. So I have the NYX Bear With Me and then the NARS Soft Matte as well. The NYX Bear With Me is very light, it's very fluid. It is fairly pigmented though, it does offer quite a lot of coverage. And then the NARS Soft Matte is more of a pot concealer, it's a bit more matte, it's a bit thicker. So I thought that kind of comparing the 2, seeing how they both layer, would be quite helpful. Before we do that, I am going to do my brows and my eyeshadow, which I don't typically do before doing my base makeup, but I kind of fancy switching it up today. So I will speed through that and then we will come back and apply the corrector. So I've just done some eyeshadow and mascara. I used the Viseart Amelie palette, which I really like in the summer because the tones are just really nice and warm. Okay, let's go in with the corrector. So I would say the doe foot is quite an average size, maybe a tiny bit bigger than most typical concealer doe foots. Packaging is the exact same as the Faux Filter concealer. It's just the cap is orange, which I guess is because like a lot of the corrector tones lean more orange, so it's kind of a way to tell it apart. So the formula is quite fluid and it is quite thin, so I'm just taking, I'm going to do one eye first. This isn't the first impressions, I have used this a couple of times before. but I'm still kind of in the playing around, testing it phase. So it actually doesn't look as dark on camera, but for me, I wish the shade was just a touch more brightening. It is definitely more of an orangey peach, which is really nice, but yeah, I do wish it was just a tiny bit lighter, just so it would also brighten underneath my eyes. I'm using my rotating sponge to blend it out. So that is with the corrector and FAUX, and I think you can definitely see that it has done a pretty good job at counteracting those dark tones underneath my eyes. Being more of a peachy salmon orange shade, it is going to counteract any blue, any purples. So I think it has done a really nice job. And it isn't too, I mean, I would definitely still go over with a concealer, but it's not too stark against my skin tone. It's not super, super, super obvious that I've gone in with a really warm corrector. So yeah, I do think that this definitely does the job, and it does feel really nice and lightweight under my eyes as well, which is nice because obviously corrector is meant to be layered. You're meant to put a concealer over the top, so you don't want to go in with your first layer of corrector and already feel like you have too much product on. So I'm going to do the other side, and I'm mainly focusing it just on the inner part of my eye. I also feel like you need a pretty decent amount of the product in order for it to actually do its job. If you go in with one small dot or a couple of small little dots, I don't think you're really going to get the effect. I just don't think it will cover as well. Because at first I did go in with a really small amount the first time I used it, because I was worried, being a HUDA product, I thought, oh, it's probably going to be quite thick and perhaps a bit cakey, so I don't want to use too much. And I didn't really feel like it did anything. So yeah, I do feel like, you know, a pretty good amount is needed. So that is both under eyes covered. And yeah, you can definitely see there is a pinky peachy tone going on. But overall, I think it does a really nice job. So on this eye, I'm gonna use my NYX Bear With Me Serum Concealer. And I'm just gonna use my rotating sponge. Start to go underneath my eyes. So it's a bit light for me at the moment, this concealer. So it definitely does a good job at covering the peachy tones. Definitely has kind of evened out my skin tone a little bit more, but my under eyes look incredibly bright. And there's definitely less bluey, purpley tones going on. So I think it definitely does the job. I'm gonna go in with the NARS Soft Matte on the other side. So this is in Vanilla, which again, might be a tiny bit light. I don't know, we'll see. Yeah, this is a little bit light for me as well. So that's a NARS Soft Matte applied on this side. I do think I prefer the NYX Bear With Me, just because the formula is a lot thinner, it's a bit more hydrating. I do think that having something just a bit lighter weight to layer on top works really nicely, whereas I do feel like NARS, it doesn't look heavy underneath my eyes, but it's a tiny bit drier, it is a tiny bit heavier. So I do think going in with a slightly thinner, creamier concealer is definitely the way to go. So I'm going to set with a bit of powder as well. I'm just using my Bite Beauty because this is in my project pan. Okay, I'm going to finish up the rest of my face and then I will come back and share my final thoughts. Okay, so I am back. I will have everything that I've used in the description box below, mainly stuff from my project pan because I am really trying to hone in on the selection of products and get through as many of them as possible. So final thoughts on the corrector. I really like it. I was worried it wouldn't quite be my cup of tea. HUDA is definitely known for her fuller coverage, very glamorous makeup looks, and as you can see, that's not always the makeup that I tend to go for. So I was worried that this would be a bit thick, a bit too heavy, but actually it applies really nicely and it does definitely feel lightweight and hydrating under the eyes. So I'm really impressed with that. In terms of the shade, I think if you have very, very fair skin, I think this might just be a touch too dark. I do wish it was a tiny bit lighter, a tiny bit more brightening, but for me, I can get away with it. And they do have some really good options, again, for medium to deep skin tone. So I think they've done quite a good job with the shade range, though I wish there was just one lighter. So I am very happy with this and having it in my collection. It's something different to the other concealers I have. It definitely serves a different purpose. So I'm really happy that I've added this into my collection. It definitely does make me want to try out the Faux Filter concealer as well. So you'll have to let me know if you've tried this and you've tried the concealer, whether the formulas are quite similar, because I was really impressed with how thin and lightweight this is. So if the concealer is similar, maybe I will give that a go. So I really hope that you enjoyed this quick review of the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Corrector. If you did, don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.